The sky above Earth was calm. It was a bright blue morning. Birds flew in the air. People walked to work. Children went to school. Everything was normal then. ... Sky changed. A loud, deep sound shook the clouds. People looked up. Shadow spread. Across the city, not from clouds, but from something far bigger. A giant alien ship appeared in the sky. It was shaped like a claw. Black metal, glowing red lines, and engines that made no sound. Didn't fly. It floated like it controlled gravity. All news channels switched to live. Cameras zoomed in. Soldiers were called. The United Nations went into lockdown. People screamed. Others just watched, frozen in fear. But the ship didn't attack. It opened. A small pod came down slowly, glowing red. It landed in a quiet field near a city in Africa. The earth around it burned slightly. Smoke rose. No one went near it. Drones flew in to scan. They showed something or someone inside. Then the door opened. Out stepped Carax, the strongest warrior of the Galactic Empire, taller than any human, muscles like stone. His armor moved like it was alive. Red eyes, no expression. At the sky, then down at Earth. This was not a random visit. Carax had chosen this place, chosen this planet, chosen this moment. He sent a message. It was short. It was clear. It was terrifying. I challenge Earth's strongest warrior. One-on-one. No war, no armies, just me and your best. People didn't understand. Why not attack? Why not invade? But Carax followed the code of blood honor, the warrior code of the Galactic Empire. He only fought equals. If he found one worthy, he never killed, he bowed. He had never bowed. Not once. Not after fighting the Titans of Gur. Not after defeating the Light Knights of Zera. He had destroyed over 900 worlds. But Earth was still standing. Why? Because no one had ever answered his challenge until now. In a small town nearby, a man watched the news. He was quiet, calm, drinking tea. He looked ... normal. No armor, no weapons. He wore a simple black shirt and old shoes. His name was Aiden. That's all anyone knew. No last name. No ID. No family. People started talking. He had stepped forward. After the message, he told the army he wanted to fight Carax. They laughed. They scanned him. Nothing special. No implants. No powers. Just a man. But there was something strange. One general said when he looks at you. It feels like he already knows everything about you. Another officer said. We tested him. Shot bullets near him. Scientists whispered. Soldiers stared. Still, he didn't explain who he was. He only said one thing when asked why he wanted to face Carax. Because he's not the real danger. I am. The room went silent. News spread fast. Unknown human accepts alien warrior's challenge. Is Earth sending a madman? Carax smiles for the first time in 70 years. The arena was chosen. An old battleground from ancient wars. A wide, flat land surrounded by rocky hills and drones recording from the sky. No army allowed. Only two could enter. Aiden stood at one end. .com. Silent. Carax stood at the other. His armor pulsed with red light. I looked at Aiden. His voice echoed. You look small? Weak? Aiden replied with a soft voice. That's what they all think. The crowd, watching through screens across the world and galaxy, held their breath. No one knew what would happen next. Was Earth about to lose its last hope? Or was Carax about to meet something even he couldn't understand? Carax had faced gods, monsters, machines, and armies that burned worlds, but never silence. The human named Aiden stood before him. No armor, no shield, no weapon, and no fear. The battle didn't begin. It paused, like the universe itself was holding its breath. Carax waited for the human to move first. But Aiden just looked at him like he had seen him before. Like he had already won. Carax's glowing red eyes narrowed. This wasn't right. He had crushed champions. ripped giants apart with his bare hands. Yet here was a human, calm, still, quiet, as if nothing around him mattered, far away in a secret command room deep underground. Earth's top scientists and generals watched. They had scanned Odin's DNA. He was human. They had checked his face through every camera, ID system, and file on Earth. Nothing. No match. No passport. No school. No birth. It was like he didn't exist before this day. One general whispered, "This man, he's a ghost." Another said, "Maybe not a ghost, maybe a shadow." The arena was quiet. Karak stepped forward, his voice deep like thunder.
"Tell
me your name again?" Aiden smiled. "Names are for people who want to be remembered. You will not leave here alive." "I already left everything behind." Karak charged. His boots cracked the ground with each step. Dust exploded. His sword lit up with alien fire. He swung with all his strength, a blow strong enough to split a mountain. But Aiden moved. Not fast. Not panicked. Just enough. The sword missed by an inch. Karak stopped, turned. Aiden was behind him again. Not running, just standing, like he had always been there. The watching galaxy laughed. Some thought this human was just lucky. Others called him a trickster. But in the High Council of the Galactic Empire, an old alien stood up from his seat and said, "He's not using speed, he's using time." They stared at him. "Is that human?" "Doesn't follow our rules." Back in the arena, Karak attacked again. Swing after swing, smash after smash. But every time the human moved like water flowing around stone. No anger. No effort. He didn't attack once, and that made Karak furious. He roared, "Why won't you fight?" Aiden finally answered, "'Cause you haven't earned it." That sentence hit harder than any punch. Karak froze. He had battled for over 400 years. He was the pride of the Empire. The killer of kings. And now, a human told him he wasn't even worth a punch. It felt like an insult, but it wasn't. It was a warning. In a hidden lab, a scientist replayed the fight in slow motion. She gasped. Her voice shook. "There's something wrong with his shadow." They zoomed in. Odin's shadow didn't match the light. It bent the wrong way, like it belonged to someone else. Or something else. Maybe he looked human, but maybe he wasn't. Back in the arena, Karak dropped his sword. He walked up to Aiden face to face. "Who are you really?" he asked. Aiden looked up at him, eyes calm and cold. "I'm what your empire forgot what your ancestors warned about. I'm not here to win. I'm here to remind you." Karak didn't speak again. He stepped back. For the first time in history, the strongest warrior didn't continue a fight. He stood in silence. Then he bowed. All across the galaxy, people stood up from their chairs in shock. Some screamed, others cried. The warrior of legends had bowed to a human, but Aiden was already walking away. He didn't look back. He didn't smile. He didn't care. Because the real fight wasn't against Karak. It hadn't started yet, far above Earth. The Galactic Empire's war fleets floated. Like dark gods in the sky, each ship was the size of a city, covered in glowing alien runes, loaded with weapons that could erase a planet in minutes. Billions watched the broadcast across galaxies. But no one fired. Because this wasn't a war. It was something far stranger. A single human had stepped forward to face Karak, the Empire's strongest warrior, and had not only survived, but forced Karak to bow. That had never happened before, not in all of history, but now. Something even more shocking was coming. Karak had requested a rematch. The Empire sent down their ceremonial arena ship. It landed in the middle of the African plains. The ground shook. The air heated up. The arena was shaped like a ring of black stone, surrounded by floating drones and glowing force fields. Every corner of the galaxy was watching. This wasn't just a fight now. This was something else. It was fear in disguise.ca. Rax arrived first. His armor had changed. No longer glowing with pride, now looked darker, heavier, as if the weight of doubt had entered it. His blade was new too, forged from the core of a dead star. It burned purple, humming with quiet rage. He stood in the center of the ring, waiting, and then The human came, but not from a car, a ship, or a machine. He walked from the trees barefoot. The same clothes, same calm face, no weapons. He stepped into the arena like it was his own backyard. Not a single worry in his eyes. Corax didn't speak. He couldn't, because this time, he felt something, a cold pressure in the air. Like standing too close to a storm that hadn't struck yet. On board a galactic warship, a young alien cadet asked his commander, "Why does he wear no armor?" The commander whispered, "Because armor is for those who fear pain." "Why does he bring no weapon?" "Because weapons are for those who expect resistance." The cadet frowned. "Then what is he?" The commander didn't answer because he didn't know. In the arena, the wind began to blow. Corax raised his blade. A quiet sound echoed metal meeting gravity. Aiden did not move. Then Corax dashed forward, faster than sound, faster than light. The ground cracked. Stone exploded. The blade sliced through air, but not through Adon. He stepped to the side, just one step, and Corax missed again. Now, something different happened. Adon raised his hand. He didn't strike. He just touched the ground, and the entire arena froze. Time paused. Wind stopped. Birds in the sky hung motionless. Even Corax's eyes stopped blinking. Only the cameras caught what came next. A house. A single wave of white light spread from Auden's hand. It didn't destroy. Revealed symbols appeared under the arena. Old ones. From a language even the Galactic Empire had forgotten. Aiden stood in the center of them. And for a brief second, just 1 second, his shadow grew 10 times taller. High. Above, in the royal court of the Galactic Council, the Empress of 9 Suns stood from her throne. She turned to her advisors. "Find out who taught this human, immediately." They looked. Before the fight ever began, the galaxy thought it knew what power looked like. It looked like Corax, the Empire's champion, his armor made from dead stars. His sword soaked in 1,000 victories, his name whispered in fear from one system to the next. But now, no one was sure, because the first blow was not from Corax. It was not from Aiden. It was not even physical. It was the realization that everything the galaxy believed about humans was wrong. And this one man, this one quiet human with no history and no weapons, just shattered that belief by standing still. The arena remained quiet after Aiden walked away. But he hadn't left. It only stepped beyond the cameras into the rocks, where he sat on a stone and watched the sunset. He knew Corax would come, and he did. The alien warrior, still holding his blade, approached like a ghost his footsteps. Slow, unsure, he was not the same Corax. This was not a warrior seeking victory. This was a warrior searching for truth. "You didn't hurt me," Corax said. "I didn't need to," Aiden replied. "You could have," Corax added. "Yes." "Didn't you?" Aiden looked at the horizon, then turned his eyes to the stars above them. "Because pain is not your lesson, doubt is, far above Earth in a hidden galactic archive." A machine mind named Archivist Ikes ran old human files' secret files. Ancient files that found something, a symbol, the same one Aiden had created on the arena. Florida hadn't been seen in over 60,000 years. It belonged to an extinct order. A group wiped out during the early wars of the galaxy. The machine whispered one word before going dark. Primordials. Back on Earth, the moment finally came. Corax stood in silence. Then he raised his sword. Not to challenge, but to test. He moved fast, faster than before. A blur of movement. His blade curved through the air in silence. Aiden stood. Didn't move. Didn't blink. Until he did. The step was so small it shouldn't have mattered. But when his foot touched the ground, the air changed. It became heavy. As if time had grown old in a second. Then it happened. Aiden struck. No one saw his hand move, not even Corax. But Corax flew backwards, lifted off the ground. Smashed into a rock wall 20 meters away. His sword clattered beside him. His armor Cracked silence fell again. Not a human in the world cheered. Not an alien dared speak. Because what they saw wasn't human. Inside the impact crater, Karax lay on the ground, coughing. Blood, his thick, glowing green blood, dripped from his mouth. He looked at Aiden, who still stood calmly, the wind blowing softly around him. He was breathing normally. No anger, no pride. Just stillness. Karax smiled. Not out of joy, out of fear. You didn't hit me, Karax whispered. I didn't, said Aiden. Then what threw me? The truth. On a moon, orbiting a forbidden star. An ancient seer opened his eyes. He hadn't spoken in 400 years. Now he muttered. The first blow has landed. His students asked him, what does that mean? He replied, it means the galaxy is no longer ruled by strength, but by memory. Back on Earth, Karax stood slowly. He looked at his broken blade. Then at his cracked armor. He dropped them both. Then he walked toward Aiden, and for the first time in his life, Karax lowered his head. Not as a warrior, but as a student. I want to know, he said. Aiden looked at him, then answered with a strange, distant voice. Then prepare yourself. Because what comes next is not for the weak. It's not for the loud, not for those who hold weapons. Karax nodded. I'm ready, but far across the stars. Something watched them. It had no shape, no voice, but it knew Aiden. It remembered him. And it hated him. Because long ago, Aiden had locked it away. Now, it was waking up, and it was hungry. Karax had never dreamed. Not once. He was born in a war zone, trained in a gravity cage, and raised inside machines that burned emotion out of the soul. Warriors of the Empire did. Not sleep, they powered down, they healed. But they never dreamed until now. He opened his eyes. But he wasn't awake. He was standing inside a desert of stars. There was no air, no sky, no ground. Just endless space and whispers that echoed like falling dust. And in front of him stood a boy, a human boy, no older than 10. He wore old clothes, torn at the edges. His hands were dirty. His eyes glowed like suns. Karax froze. His blade was gone. His armor was gone. He was nothing here. The boy looked at him and said one sentence. You were there, weren't you? Karax's mind broke into 1,000 pieces because the boy's face was familiar. He had seen it before in an ancient ruin, on a dead world carved into stone 50,000 years ago. He stepped back, but the boy pointed at him. You helped them burn our sky. Karax fell to his knees. He remembered it was long ago before. Karax became the Empire's champion. He was a young warrior then, part of a purge unit. They were told to clean planets, remove life forms considered dangerous. One of those planets had humans, but not like today's humans. These were advanced. Their cities floated in clouds. Their ships ran on memory. They whispered to stars. They could bend space with thoughts, and the Empire feared them. So they attacked, and Karax was there. He had fired on them, fought them, and watched them fall. He thought they were wiped out until now. Karax woke up gasping. Sweat poured from his face. His armor felt too tight. His heart beat like thunder. He wasn't in space. He wasn't in the dream. He was back on Earth, and Aiden was sitting beside a fire, staring at the stars like they were talking to him. Karax stood, walked slowly to him. I remembered he said. Aiden didn't look at him. Took you long enough? You were there. Before I was. But how? Aiden finally turned. His eyes glowed faintly now, like fire trapped in glass. 'Cause I'm not just from Earth. I'm from what came before Earth. In a science lab deep under the Himalayas, Earth's secret AI known as Corno unlocked. A memory file sealed for 80,000 years. It showed footage of a war, but not in space. In time, humans. Fighting something invisible. Something that didn't bleed. Something that couldn't die. They didn't win. They didn't lose either. They just Disappeared. Kordashno muttered 2 words before shutting itself down. They're returning. Aiden stood slowly. Your empire doesn't remember, he said. But it will. Karax looked down. I was part of the cleansing, he whispered. I killed your kind. Aiden stepped close. His voice dropped. No, you killed our shadows. Not us. Karax's face turned pale. Then, who did I fight? Aiden smiled for the first time. Our memories. Far across the galaxy, in the hollow nebula, a crack opened in space. Dark mist poured out. A sound like crying metal echoed in all directions. Ships nearby went silent. Pilots screamed before going mad. The mist took shape. A face, a voice, a hunger, and one word, Aiden. Back on Earth, Karax touched the ground. Teach me, he said. I want to understand. Aden shook his head. You don't need to understand. Karax frowned. Then what do I need? Aden turned to him. His voice no longer sounded fully human. You need to remember. That night, Karax sat by the fire. He did not speak. He only stared into the flames and far away. In his blood, something ancient began to wake up. A memory not his own. A fear not from this time, and a message. The first war never ended. It just forgot your name. To be continued in part 6. Why he never fought again.